How long are we going to submit our control to these people that plead the fifth? Our representatives, our congressmen, our presidents, now and then, our corporate leaders, our bosses. How long are we going to give them control over us while they blatantly lie to our faces? Old face lies that they're doing things for our benefit, for the benefit of the economy, for the benefit of the planet, for any sort of benefit, when they continue to just ignore. How can it be ignored? The absolute atrocity that is what human has become. When are you going to wake up and realize that you have a say in this? You have an obligation. When I was in middle school, they said it was our duty to vote. Now, no one wants to vote because everything that they say you can vote for is trash. You don't trust any of your systems because you shouldn't. And the people that stand out and speak out about it are crucified. When are you going to stop it? When are you going to say, I want my food grown where I know what has been done to it? I'm going to hold accountable these corporations that have polluted our waters, have caused disease. And you think about this as just a human experience. What about the millions of species that have gone extinct in the last 1,000 years or 100 years? How many have been hunted to extinction? How many have been polluted to extinction? When are you going to stop ignoring that the fish are having reproductive, asexual mutations and pretend like it has nothing to do with the sexual dysphoria that people have, the confusion, the problems birthing? When are you going to stop accepting that our farming practices aren't blatantly killing people, aren't blatantly polluting the waters with our herbicides that kill everything, our pesticides that kill everything, with the we want to spread our feces on the fields, and we're polluting our own food with phosphorus and nitrates. We're suffocating the fish. We're killing the fish. Think about this as one thing. It's not just the fish. It's every single organism in the food chain that comes up to the fish. The bugs, the worms, and then we can't spread human feces on the fields. Why? Because there's heavy metals in it: cadmium, arsenic, lead, mercury. Why? Because it comes from all of the processes that they say we have to have in order to have the food we have, because the food we have is poison itself, every single bit of it. But if you want to have a 5-star meal, which is what we should be eating, you should be able to go in your backyard and have a 5-star meal because it's fresh, it's real food. But you have to pay $300 for a plate of that stuff. Every restaurant in the world should be a 5-star restaurant. This should be the age of enlightenment, the age of everything, the age of freedom. But instead, we have decided to pigeonhole ourselves into a depravity. We're lunatics. When are you going to stop saying it's okay for our country? You say it's them, they. Who? Your representation, yeah. Your representation that you chose and you allow to persecute and project this just demon ideology that you don't have a say. You have a say and you need to say it. We're going to not claim a crime against humanity. The United States hasn't been in a war since World War II, but it has never been at peace. When Hamas was voted democratically into power, the next day George Bush put a hit on him, said we are going to topple that government, which is no different than El Salvador, than Honduras, than Haiti, than Somalia, than Brazil, than even Israel was a plant. Just like we're trying to threaten Russia, we are instigating a war there too. Every single thing that we do. You go to Vietnam, the CIA, the CIA. We have to start realizing that it is us. We, the CIA, were in Vietnam and Laos 10 years before the conflict. And still today, there are people there that are running for their lives because we promised them that they were doing the right thing and that we would protect them and we would feed them and we would help them. And still today, what, 40 years, 40 plus years after, damn near 50 years after, these people are still running for their lives, starving in the hills of Laos because there's an open hit on them. They're not human. There's a direct representation of our government. We go to Somalia and we kill hundreds of thousands to less than 50 of our own dead. You say that's not a massacre? But it's no different than what we did to the Indians, which aren't even Indians. They're natives. They're indigenous people. They're not Indians. They're a plethora of different native tribes, just like we're killing off everywhere we go. It never stopped ever since Columbus hit this ground and before. We have killed everything everywhere in an act of genocide. Take Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, South America, the entire stretch. This is all built on lies and deception, and it has not stopped. It has gotten far worse. And when we go to our governance, our elected officials, which should not be called officials, they should be called representatives because they are in representation of you, the individual. When we go to them, they plead the fifth. If you go to your boss and you have a major issue, say, "Oh, we are going to kill 1 million people if we continue this," and they say, "Oh, well, we're within our guidelines." So then they say, "Oh, who else do I go to? I go to the government," but the government is in bed with the same person that said no. And then they put a non-disclosure agreement on you and say, if you go out there and you say anything, we're going to sue you. And now because you've taken money on the back end of it, now you're also complicit in it. So now they've got this person between a rock and a hard place, which is what a lot of our politicians are at too. Because they've gone to these parties, they've snorted coke off of a stripper's ass on the light end, and on the heavy end, they've fucked kids across the planet. They've done diabolical things. There are some that are diabolical, and there are some that just got caught in something. And we need to create a system where these people can come forward so that these non-disclosure agreements and these threats of violence against them stop, so we can actually have something moving forward instead of buying into this Cargill and Excel Energy and all these major entities that are all, man, they're all scabs on the same prick, if you know what I mean. And we are all just bent right over. But we don't have to be. And if we don't stop all of this, we are accepting Third World War for no reason. We are accepting world extinction for nothing. If you want to protect your family, get up, quit your job, speak out against the things that you see wrong. But how do we find the place to go where we can speak out against these things and actually get traction? That is why we need to save the dolphins. Save the dolphins.